It started with a second sunrise on a planet that shouldn't have. We touched down on Varellin 9 just after 0600. Gray skies, acidic wind, silence so total it had weight. The old terraforming outpost stood like a rusted skeleton, half buried in fine ash and strangled by cables long since dead. Our boots left no prints on the dust-caked floor, just a faint hiss where the chemical fog licked at the metal of our suits. "Smells like burned vinegar," muttered Yannick the tech. "No smells in a sealed helmet," I reminded him. He didn't answer. The mission was simple: assess, report, and recover any surviving personnel. The mining crew had gone dark 3 weeks ago. No emergency beacon. No distress signal. Just silence. We were 6. Me, Captain Ellis Marr. Yannick. Mira, our exobiologist. Lieutenant Kassir and 2 security troopers, Roan and Tellar. No one asked why an exoarchaeologist was leading the recon. Probably because they'd read the Colaris report and knew I was the only one who didn't fold when things got wrong. Inside the outpost, everything was still. Computers blinked on low-power mode. Coffee cups sat half full beside untouched rations. One bunk had a data pad still open, the screen looping a mining drill schematic. "There's no sign of struggle," Mira said. "There's no sign of life," Kassir replied, scanning with his rifle's thermal lens. "Not even insects." We split to sweep the main facility. I took the observation tower. The ladder was slippery with condensation, and my gloves skidded once on a rung. Up top, the airlock moaned as it cycled. The sky had begun to shift, a dim yellow filtering through the clouds. I activated my visor tint. Then it happened. The sun rose in the east, as expected, pale and low through the haze. But a moment later, a second light bloomed from the north. Not a reflection. Not a flare. It was a sunrise. My breath caught. The light was colder, almost blue, and utterly silent. It hovered just above the horizon, pulsing once, twice, then vanished like a snuffed flame. "Marr to ground team. Anyone seeing this?" "Static." "Repeat." "I have a visual anomaly, northward horizon." "Nothing." I climbed down fast. Reached the central hub and found the others clustered around the comms station. "It's looping," Tellar said, frowning at the screen. "Watch." Security footage from the eastern corridor played. A mining tech walked the hall, turned the corner, and then the footage rewound. Same 10 seconds. On repeat. "Faulty sensor," Kassir said. "No," Yannick muttered. "That's not digital corruption. It's time. The whole sector's stuck." We watched the loop for several minutes. No one spoke. Later, while cataloging the outpost logs, Mira called me. "You need to see this." In one of the older mining tunnels, someone had etched symbols into the wall, deep grooves, spiraling outward in repeating patterns. "No equipment could carve like this," she said. "Stone's too hard." "Graffiti?" She shook her head. "It's pre-contact script. I've seen similar forms in Colaris ruins. Not human. Why here? Maybe it was here first." I didn't sleep that night. At 0311, the base lights flickered. A hum vibrated through the floor, low, rhythmic, almost like breath. I sat in the ops chair, watching the sensors. No seismic activity. No wind. Still, the sound persisted. The logs ticked forward normally, then jumped back 4 seconds. Then again. The time loop had spread. I keyed the comms. "This is Marr. Status check." Only Yannick replied, voice low. "I'm outside. Needed air. Something wrong inside." "You went out alone?" "Didn't feel alone." Silence. "Yannick?" "I saw it, Cap, out by the tower. Tall. Wrong-shaped. Just standing there." "What did it do?" "It looked at me." "Yannick, nothing is out there. Come back in." Another pause. "I don't think I can." By morning, he was gone. Suit beacon dead. Motion logs showed him walking toward the mist, and vanishing mid-step. No distortion. No fade-out. Just gone. I replayed the footage 20 times. On the 21st, a shadow moved behind him, tall, narrow, geometric, like a machine stretched beyond reason. And then it was gone, too. We searched until sundown. No trace. No footprints. No signal. Kassir stayed silent during the debrief. Mira kept glancing at the corners of the room. Tellar vomited in his helmet and didn't speak for hours. That night I reviewed my own log. The audio was corrupted, layered with faint whispers. At first I thought it was feedback. Then I listened closely. A voice. My own. Repeating a phrase I had never said. Asterisk. We are not alone because we never were. They don't arrive. They wake. Asterisk. The next morning, I climbed back to the observation tower. The second sun rose again, northward, pulsing cold. But this time, it didn't vanish. It stayed. Watching. And beneath it, across the ash fields, something moved. Something huge. The second sun had not set. It hovered above the northern horizon, unmoving and cold, casting long unnatural shadows that didn't shift with the time of day. No one wanted to go near the windows anymore. By 1400 hours, Mira sealed herself in the infirmary. She claimed her sleep was no longer her own, that dreams weren't private thoughts but injections. She showed me a diagram she had drawn in charcoal on the med table. I didn't understand it, just a mass of spirals and fractal-like symbols, but she pointed at one cluster near the center and whispered, "They sent this." I didn't think it. They did. I asked who they were. She didn't answer. Just turned her face to the corner of the room and kept whispering to something I couldn't see. The facility changed subtly. Corridors we walked through yesterday were longer now. Door labels switched places. Storage Bay 2 now had no door at all, just a wall where it used to be. Tellar tried mapping the base on a datapad, but every time he looked away, the schematic would redraw itself, with slight differences. "They're adjusting the space," he muttered. Like we're being rearranged." I ordered a lockdown. Roan and Kassir stayed close, weapons ready, though I wasn't sure what bullets could do against this. Against changes in time and memory. Against shapes that didn't exist until they were remembered. That night, the humming returned, louder. Constant. A bone-deep vibration that made the teeth ache. The lights blinked in a pattern. For long pulses. Too short. Then silence. Morse? I tried deciphering it, but the pattern didn't match anything known. "Maybe it's a name," Tellar said. "Whose?" He just looked at the ceiling and whispered. "Not ours." 4:13, another dream. Except I wasn't asleep. I was walking the surface of Varelen 9, but the sky was gone. In its place, two beings filled the air like thoughts too large to hold. One was all glass and wires, its limbs jutting from angles that bent in and out of themselves. The other was organic, swollen with flesh, translucent and breathing. They moved toward each other, not to fight, but to resist being the same. Their tension hummed through me. I felt split. Pulled. Like my body was a filament stretched between opposing charges. When I blinked, I was in the observation tower again. My boots were wet. My left glove was missing. And outside, the mist parted. I saw footprints. My footprints. Leading from the outpost to the edge of the field. I hadn't left. Not physically. Mira stopped speaking by the third day. She lay curled on the floor, drawing the same two shapes over and over on the walls with blood from her chewed fingertips. She scratched them in pairs, one like a black triangle with tendrils, the other a looping figure eight with teeth inside. "They speak through resonance," she said once, low and sudden, staring at the air. "Every thought you've ever had? They heard it already. We're echo chambers. That's all." Roan vanished next. Security logs showed him patrolling the power core level. At 0307, a static flash blanked the screen. When it came back, he was gone. The timestamp was the same. No gap. No motion blur. Just erased. Kassir and Tellar searched the level for hours. They found only one thing. His earpiece. It was still warm. By this point, I stopped keeping official logs. The system had begun rewriting my entries, changing words, altering times. My voice in the recording sometimes answered before I asked the question. I started using pen and paper. But even the ink felt wrong, like the words didn't belong to me anymore. Midday, we detected a low-frequency surge in the atmosphere. Tellar picked it up on the long-range scanner, a pulse wave, looping every 6 seconds. Inside the wave were patterns. Not sound. Not electromagnetic code. It was like memory. "I don't think this is a broadcast," he said. "I think it's a recollection. Something's trying to remember what this place was." Back in the archive room, I found something no one had noticed. Behind a wall panel in Maintenance Sector 4, a sealed drive. Analog. Old UG3 design. Not listed in any manifest. I cracked it open. The file inside was dated 143 years ago. A single video. A colonial team. 10 members. 1 chemdrone. The footage showed them arriving on Varellin 9, bright-eyed, excited, preparing the outpost. Then static. The next frame showed only 4 of them. The others were gone. The survivors didn't mention it. They acted as if they'd always been 4. I watched the rest in growing horror. Each day, another vanished. Until only one remained, a woman named Lynn Roddick, sitting in the observation tower, speaking to herself. To me. Her final words. "If you're watching this, then you've always watched it. And if you've always watched it, then you were always here. You're not after me. You are me." Tellar found me after that, shaking, trying to light a match that wouldn't strike. "Kassir's gone," he said flatly. "Didn't even scream." I nodded. "How many of us were there?" he asked. His voice trembled. I opened my mouth to answer. I didn't know. I couldn't remember. The lights dimmed. The tower window cracked, though no force touched it. The second sun pulsed once more. Tellar looked out at it. He whispered, "It's not a sun." "What is it?" He touched the glass. "It's a mind." At 0321, I woke to static on every screen. Then a face. My face. Smiling back. And behind it, 2 shadows loomed in the mist, impossibly tall. They weren't moving. They were deciding. The base no longer followed any human geometry. Corridors twisted unnaturally, arching upward like ribs. Lights buzzed in patterns that made no logical sense. When I walked from the ops center to the lab, the distance varied, sometimes 20 paces, sometimes over 100. Tellar was still with me, or maybe I was with him. We stayed close but didn't speak much anymore. Words had become unreliable. Once I said North Tower, and he turned to the generator room. The place heard us and responded. On the 4th day, if time even moved here, we both woke in the same bunk. I never entered his quarters. I never meant to sleep. But there we were, same bed, same position, breathing in sync. We didn't talk about it. There was nothing left to explain. I stopped trusting my reflection. In the mirror above the sink in Bay 3, I watched myself touch my own face, but in the reflection, I didn't move. My mirrored eyes held mine too long. Then the light flickered, and the image was gone. It returned 5 minutes later, but this time, it was wearing a different uniform. Mine. From Colaris. I hadn't worn that suit in years. That evening, though the second sun never moved, I found a room I had no memory of. Not listed in the schematics. Behind a misaligned bulkhead in Sector Delta. Inside was a single metal chair bolted to the floor, surrounded by hundreds of sheets of paper, carefully arranged in concentric spirals. Each page bore my handwriting. Notes, diagrams, thoughts I hadn't written yet. Some were decades ahead. Others referenced events I hadn't lived. One page read, "You are not the witness. You are the recording." I fell to my knees. The papers were warm. like skin. Tellar didn't follow me into that room. When I returned to the corridor, he was gone. Just gone. No sound, no sign. And I didn't feel surprised. I've come to understand something no human should. The Titans, those two impossible beings, aren't here in a traditional sense. They're not occupying this world. They're using it. Their war isn't with us. It's through us. Through our timelines, thoughts, structures, and languages. Their confrontation is psychic, symbolic. They communicate with matter like we use ink. One is mechanical logic, cold, recursive, perfect. The other is organic chaos, growth, rot, emotion. I don't think they want Earth. They want definition. And they need us to remember them into existence. At 0400, I found my own corpse. Slumped against the comms chair. Desiccated. Still clutching a notepad. The nameplate on its chest, Captain Ellis Marr. The face was mine, older, worn, mouth frozen midward. The log screen beside it flickered. I played the last recorded file. My voice ragged. There's no out. Not when you're part of their message. Every thought I had, they answered by becoming more real. You're reading this because you're already them. We are memory shaped. And now, so are they. The log timestamp was dated 17 years in the future. The sky cracked open that night. Not with sound, but silence. Perfect, dense silence. The kind that made your ears bleed trying to find something within it. Through the breach, they came, not bodies, not ships. Ideas. I saw cities that had never existed collapse into nothing. Faces of people I never knew, screaming in recognition. I saw myself, fractured across possibilities, walking into different deaths, speaking alien tongues, becoming them. I felt my spine snap inward, not physically, but symbolically. As if I was the hinge between two realities grinding against each other. And then, it stopped. Not because it ended. Because it settled. I don't know what day it is now. There are no more clocks. No more pulses in the comms tower. The observation glass no longer shows the outside. Only inside, a reflection of a room I'm not in. But I'm still here. Writing. I think I've written this before. I think I will write it again. Not because I choose to, but because I was written to. Sometimes, when I sleep, I see Lynn Roddick, the last survivor of the old colony. She whispers a question I never understand. She always smiles. Like I'm a punchline. In her hand, she holds a child's drawing. 2 figures. One in spirals. One in gears. And a third between them. A man with no eyes. If you find this, you're already too late. Not because they're coming. Because you were remembered. Not every war ends with death. Some end with definition.